Hello, my name is Israel and this is my project PD Play. In today's video I want to talk about this super cool guy, the MidiFighter Twister. MidiFighter is a series of controllers made by DJ Tech Tools. You should definitely check them out. And the MidiFighter Twister is a controller that has 16 knobs, and each knob also doubles as a push button, and it has 4 fully customizable banks. You can choose how each knob behaves, what MIDI channel and CC number, or you can also send a notes with each knob, and what the push buttons do. You can also change the LED colors. It's very customizable. As you can see, it looks really nice and it is super durable. Everything feels really solid. Anyway, I found one in Mexico. I found a used one in Mexico and I've been using it for gigs, and I can say that it's definitely worth it. The knobs have really good grip. The LEDs are really bright too, and it's not easy to accidentally push the switches or the buttons, so it's a very good controller. The switches for the banks are on the side, and the LED colors make it very easy to know what bank you are using, so you will always know what the switches and knobs will do. The switches can send either CCs or notes, and they can be set to momentary or toggle. They also have a super useful mode where the encoder is reset to default when you push the switch. The editor is currently only available for Windows or Mac, and I hope that somebody makes the editor for different controllers, not just for this one, but for other controllers available on iOS. That will be really cool. So now, let's talk about how this works with an iPad. Unlike the Akai MPK Mini, this controller can work directly plugged to the camera connection kit. You can use this as the one that has the charging port, lightning port, or the previous one that was only the USB connection. You don't need to use a USB hub to trick the iPad into recognizing this controller. In fact, if you use a power hub like this one, the MIDI controller won't get enough power, and when you switch banks, it just disconnects and switches on again. So yeah, in this case I'm using a power hub to be able to use an audio interface, and the MidiFighter. I've tested this controller in AUM, in Audio Bus, in Core Gadget, and Ape Matrix. It works perfectly. But since I mostly do live looping gigs nowadays, I am using it with Quantiloop. So let me walk you through how I set up the controls in Quantiloop. I set this up to control Quantiloop and Tornado in AUM. So the first thing I needed to do was to set up kind of controls the MidiFighter sent. First, I set up the knobs and switches in the editor to send CCs and notes that I need it to work in Quantiloop. I also use Quantiloop with a foot switch that sends notes, so I set the switches in the first 4 knobs to send the same notes that I am using in the foot switch. I also set the knobs to send CCs to be able to control volume, and these 4 next ones are sending also CCs to control the pan. In the foot switch, I can also control the start-stop. The bottom 8 knobs in the Twister will be used for Tornado in AUM, so I will use a different channel. I set them to a different MIDI channel than the first 8 knobs. So check that everything works in Quantiloop, and the volume switches work very well. This one works very well too. Since Quantiloop's controls don't set MIDI, there is no feedback, visual feedback, if you move the controls inside Quantiloop. You don't get any feedback. However, since I don't move the controls directly, the LEDs in the Twister will always be my feedback. I hope that makes sense. And then I go to AUM. Then in AUM, I map the bottom 8 knobs to control tornado. I have another video on how to do that, so if you want to check that out, I'll leave a link in the description. I am basically ready to jam. The switches on the 8 bottom knobs are not used. You can assign them to different things if you want. I haven't assigned them, but now you're ready to jam. So, like I said, I have 8 extra switches that I haven't mapped to anything. What I want to do now is to map them to a very cool feature in AUM that it was recently added, and that is the show plugin feature, show plugin control. To do that, we click on the track name, then on the MIDI control icon, and then we find the parameters for the plugin. In this case is noise drums. We have the show plugin control right there, so we click on it, then we tap on learn, and we push the switch that we want to control with that. Repeat with keyboard to control the bass, show plugin, learn, and then with GeoShred, let's repeat the same. It's in show plugin, learn, and the switch. That way, we can switch windows by just we can switch windows just by clicking on the switch. Thank you, Jonathan, for adding that to AUM. So I really recommend you get one of this if you have a chance. It's the MidiFighter Twister. It's an awesome controller and it works really well with the iPad. Thank you very much for watching. If you like these videos, consider subscribing, and also if you want, you can follow me on Instagram. I'm trying to upload a video a week in there. We're doing a 1-minute jam on Instagram. You can also follow me on Twitter and Facebook, and I'll see you in the next video.